is a proposed 60-meter-high, 1,050-meter long hydroelectric dam on the Peace River on Treaty 8 territory in northeastern British Columbia. It would create an 83-kilometer long reservoir submerging 78 First Nations heritage sites, burial grounds, and places of cultural and spiritual significance. It is a flagrant violation of the Constitution Act, while also flooding approximately 5,550 hectares of ALR land. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Harold Steeves, former NDP MLA, founder of the Agricultural Land Reserve, and Richmond City Councillor.
I just want to start off with a very simple statement, and that's this. BC Hydro is a climate criminal. Think about it. The Site C dam is neither clean nor green, and the whole issue is a scam, just like the scams you get in the internet. They try to tell you one thing while they do another. I want to tell you a bit of the history of BC Hydro when I was an MLA. I was elected in 1972. We had the same issues happening at that time. Hydro was building dams, but there was a bit of a lull. They had no dams to build. When the NDP government was elected, the Dave Barrett NDP government, because it was a bit different than the others, when it was elected, they had 200 engineers that knew how to build dams sitting around waiting for the next dam to be built. Can you believe it? Well, they're still waiting, and that's the problem. Hydro has never learned in 40 years how to do anything else but build dams. In 1974, the Barrett government rented the PNE Forum and filled that whole building with various projects for energy alternatives, from wind power to solar power to geothermal, the whole works, and brought in speakers from all around North America. Hydro wasn't even going to attend. We had to tell them they must attend to learn about energy alternatives. Well, they attended, but they never learned anything. And they've kept on for the last 40 years with the same old dam projects. I wasn't swearing. Dam projects, that's what they are. Anyway, what we've got now is the Site C dam. And it's the same project that was rejected over and over again before. But the consequences today are much worse than they were before. We knew about climate change 40 years ago, but it hadn't started to affect us yet. Now we're being affected by climate change. My wife went out and bought a watermelon yesterday. $14 for a watermelon. Can you believe it? $8 or $9 for a cauliflower because of the drought in California. And here we have the most pristine land in Canada along the Peace River. It is equal to the land in the Fraser Valley. There are only 2 portions of land in all of British Columbia where you can grow watermelon and other vegetables. Only 1% of BC land will grow the food that we eat. When I was an MLA in 1972, we were growing 86% of our vegetables. Now it's 43%, exactly half. And the BC Ministry of Agriculture says that we have to add 227,000 acres of Class 1 and 2 irrigated farmland back into production again if we're going to feed ourselves in the future. Well, here we have the Site C where they're going to take away 30,000 acres. And it seems to me that they should be looking at energy alternatives, and the Site C should be land that feeds the population of British Columbia. Not a proposal where they're actually going to raise your taxes to pay for it, because the cost of Site C is going to be greater than the cost of solar power by the time they've got it done. Already around the world, most countries are switching to solar power. Where are they going to sell the Site C power? Well, there's 3 things. One proposal they've got, and some of us have rejected it, is to sell it to the city dwellers in Vancouver. Well, what we're doing in Metro Vancouver is we're looking at energy alternatives. Metro Vancouver is working with Dr. Shepard at UBC and some of his staff to come up with some energy alternatives, and we're looking at solar on the rooftops in Metro that would provide enough power for 900,000 homes. Site C only provides power for 450,000 homes, half as much. In Richmond, we've already got geothermal operating. Hydro, instead of going into energy alternatives and sticking with dams, has left the field open for the rest of us. We've got our own publicly owned district energy system in Richmond. We have now powered a couple of thousand homes with geothermal. What we do, if you go along the Cambry Road area between between Garden City Road and Number 4 Road, you'll find new developments going in, and we've got some beautiful parks we're developing. Well, if you go through those parks, they're not just parks, they're power plants. We put pipes down into the ground, we've got the warm water that heats the buildings that are being constructed, and we have enough heat now to heat 2,000 units in that particular area, and the system eventually could heat all the homes in Richmond over a period of 50 years. But right now it's a couple of thousand with expandable to about 12,000. What it does, it eliminates the baseboard heaters that are used by electricity in all the modern apartments in Richmond. So we have already had a major impact in cutting the energy needs that the Site C dam would be used for domestically. We don't need Site C for domestic power. Well, what about LNG? And Christy Clark has told us we have to have Site C for LNG. Well, it's not clean power in the first place. When you go and flood 30,000 acres, you are destroying 30,000 acres of land that sequesters carbon dioxide every day. Trees and farm crops that are grown largely organically sequester about 3,500 pounds of CO2 per acre per year. So 30,000 acres sequesters about 50,000 tons of carbon dioxide a year. You flood that land, and instead of sequestering carbon dioxide, the carbon that's been in the soil for decades is going off into the atmosphere, and we are releasing carbon dioxide. So they don't add that into the equation. The fact that actually the dam is making it worse in terms of climate change itself by destroying the carbon sequestering farmland and trees. The other thing about the dam, of course, is it takes carbon to build the dam in the first place and to run it. And then there's the power lines. When you build power lines all the way to Vancouver or wherever the LNG plants are, that also destroys carbon sequestering trees and destroys habitat and land. Then there's the LNG itself. When you take the LNG out of the ground, with the fracking process, a major portion of it, they say even 8 or 10 to 12%, escapes into the atmosphere as methane, and that's 10 times as bad as CO2. They don't count that when they're talking about the LNG and how clean it is. Then there's the conversion of the LNG from natural gas. Again, takes a tremendous amount of energy. And then there's the shipping, and then finally the burning. So in the end result, if Site C is used to produce LNG, by the time that LNG is burned in China or wherever it is, it will produce as much or more carbon dioxide, as much or more greenhouse gases as burning coal. So it's not green, it's not clean. Finally, they're going to sell the finally they're going to sell the electricity to Alberta. Well, Alberta is already smarter than that. I don't know if you saw the paper yesterday. They're just given $10 million to a project where they're going to use agriculture products, canola, and convert it to diesel so that they have a green type of fuel in Alberta. And the government's put $10 million towards that. The reason that's green is that you take the canola and convert it to diesel, it's burned, and you grow more canola, and you put the fertilizers back into the ground, and it's a continuous cycle. So Site C is neither clean nor green, it's a scam, and the more people that realize it's a scam, maybe we'll get enough people out there that will finally stop it. We need our federal government to realize that it's a scam, and I know they've been meeting in Victoria yesterday and today, and I think it behooves them to look at not only the greenhouse gases that will be created by the dam and whatever method of using the power for, whether it's LNG or domestic power or going to Alberta, and look at that and say, is it really green? Couldn't we develop solar? Couldn't we develop wind? Couldn't we develop geothermal like we're doing in Richmond? And with this $125 or $150 million infrastructure fund, it seems to me that our federal government should be promoting only projects that really are green and clean. Site C dam does not qualify, and I think it would be a scam if the federal government gave them any money whatsoever. I think it's time that we had proper public hearings sponsored by the public government, and it should go to the BCUC for a decision as to whether or not this dam is necessary. So no more Site C dam. Let's put the dam away. Thank you very much.